I would never really be the kind of person to say exactly what is definitively the best of a certain kind of film that has too much variety. And I would for sure say that the Godzilla franchise as a whole, quite frankly, I feel like Godzilla's almost kind of like a genre in and of itself outside of general kaiju movies. I wouldn't want to say definitively what's the best Godzilla movie, or outside of like saying what's my favorite, but I would by far say that the best Godzilla movie as far as character development goes and overall being a good movie would definitely have to be Godzilla Minus One. It has by far in my humble opinion, the character that you care the most about. I believe Godzilla Minus One was made in 2023? I'm not entirely sure. But people are familiar with the basic plot of Godzilla Minus One, but to summarize it very quickly without spoiling it, it's about a man who, during World War II, he was a kamikaze pilot for the Japanese, which means basically you ran your plane into something and killing yourself in the process. And at the end of the war, he basically chickens out and says his plane needed repairs when it didn't. And while he's on the island, I think it's called Odo Island, I can't exactly remember. I have a terrible habit of not remembering any names that come from non-European countries. I'm kind of an idiot. He meets Godzilla. You actually meet Godzilla pretty early on in the film for what is a more character-driven movie. And believe it or not, I actually wouldn't exactly say Godzilla is really a character, because usually Godzilla's a main character. But he's not exactly... He's the antagonist, but he's not exactly a main character in this movie, which is kind of interesting. And anyway, after he has this encounter with Godzilla, which is very unpleasant, and it leaves quite a few men dead, he comes back to Japan. His parents are dead. His home was a wreck. It's just everything's basically ruined. It looks like an apocalypse film, because it basically was in real life. He meets this woman, and this woman has a child with her who's not her child, but she basically adopted her. Because the child's parents died, and basically they kind of rebuild a life together, only to some years later for Godzilla to return. That's basically the premise. I'm not going to spoil it. It's on Netflix currently. Highly recommend if you have Netflix. And quite frankly, it's worth a perfect purchase. But I'm not going to say, it's definitely, I wouldn't say necessarily the most character-driven Godzilla, but it probably is. And quite frankly, the movie was made in Japan. Most Godzilla movies are made in Japan, but quite a few, especially recent years, have been made in America. And this one is made in Japan, but it has a very Western feel. It feels very Western. It's set up kind of like a Western movie. But it still keeps a lot of Japanese aesthetics in the movie, which I like. I have nothing against Godzilla movies made in America. They're not all bad. I haven't seen a lot of the recent ones, but I will admit that Godzilla movies outside of Japan feel a little weird to me. I'm not an elitist. I'm very pro-American, but I kind of feel they feel a little weird. And I feel like this movie really kind of understands the ethos of the original Godzilla. I'm not going to say this movie is overall better than another recent Godzilla movie. Well, recent as in like 8 years ago. It was made in 2016, I believe. Shin Godzilla, and you're probably aware of that. That Godzilla is a lot more original than this Godzilla. This Godzilla in Minus One has a very menacing look. I'm not exactly sure I'd call him evil. He's kind of hard to place. Most Godzillas fit between heroic, anti-hero, monster, animal, pagan god. They usually fit one of those categories. This one's a little harder to place. He's a little more pagan god, maybe. Very interesting Godzilla, though. I like him. Would do fan art. I really like how this movie treats World War II Japan. They respect the acknowledgement of how bad Japan was, without having to blunt you over the head, They kind of respect your intelligence to know that, hey, a country that has kamikaze pilots isn't exactly the good guys, without having to, talk about Japanese soldiers beheading Chinese women or anything like that. They respect you to understand that these people are not good people without getting into it. And also, if you notice, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but spoiler alert, it has a good ending. Sorry to say, if you don't want to hear that. And the way they defeat Godzilla at the end of the movie is not just use their brains or anything. it's they do it in a way that respects human dignity, and they come together while still not viewing themselves as eunuchs, as like cogs in a machine necessarily, while still, working together, because not one person can take down Godzilla. But it's very interesting to know a lot about World War II Japan and how they really viewed their people. They were like lining up people like meat machines. It's just crazy. Honestly, like the characters in this film are so likable that it makes you kind of sad when Godzilla shows up. It's like, oh no, Godzilla, don't come and fuck this up. Godzilla looked very cool. I know that in Shin Godzilla it was almost all CGI except for a person in a what do they call those things? Motion capture suit. I wonder. This also looks a little motion captured. I'm interested how they made this one. I'm gonna assume it's made the same way. I think that's kind of how they're doing it now, even in America. But I'm not entirely sure. Interesting though. It's very interesting. But this movie does an amazing job of making all the characters likable. Every single character is likable without fail. Especially the main character. He's like peak. He's like peak. You want plushies of him, okay? Well, again, he's extremely likable. And I wish more movies, especially in Hollywood, were good at making characters so likable and rich. And quite frankly, as an American, we might not exactly understand the conflict of why would you feel bad for not killing yourself, but it makes you respect how he feels more. It makes you understand his perspective, and I really appreciate that. I believe they announced a sequel a while ago, and I'm very much so interested in it. I hope they make it. I can't remember exactly what year Godzilla Minus One came out. I think it's 2023. 2023, but I'm not entirely sure. But I really hope they make it. I gotta say, final thoughts, but I really think when they first showed Godzilla on the island, he looked so freaky. He actually scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh, wow. He's like so creepy. I kind of wish I was watching it at night in a dark room. It was really good. Yeah, the movie is phenomenal, quite frankly. Like, there's almost nothing I could say bad about it, and nothing immediately comes to my mind. I especially like how likable the grieving mother character was, the one who takes care of the little girl. I can't remember her name. She, immediately you kind of think she's an asshole, because she, like, basically calls out the main character. She's like, hey, you dick, if you did your job, maybe the country would have got bombed and destroyed, and my children would be dead. But then you kind of think, hey, her children are dead. She's grieving. And the whole movie, you see her be motherly but stern. At the end of the movie, she's like scared and sad because she thinks the main character's gonna die. And it really goes full way. And quite frankly, she's a little underrated. She's a little bit of a forgotten character. I really liked her. You really empathize with her in her unfortunate plight. Again, I would highly recommend. I can't say it enough. The quote-unquote love interest character. I said I'm avoiding names because I actually can't remember anyone's name because I'm a dick. But it's just an amazing film. I wish more people would talk about it. Shin Godzilla gets all the love. Because quite frankly, okay, first form Godzilla and Shin Godzilla is kicking in my maternal instincts, but yeah, but it's not the Shin Godzilla. Okay, Godzilla Minus One is like I would pick Godzilla Minus One over Shin Godzilla because the characters are so damn good. But I will admit though, Shin Godzilla does win on the Godzilla. And I will admit, the original Godzilla was pretty creepy too. So yeah, I will admit I'm becoming a bit of a Godzilla fan. I will admit. So, anyway, yes, please go watch Go watch Shin Godzilla and go watch Godzilla Minus One, because they're both really good. And thank you for watching this video. If you're interested in my art, I'll link some places where my art is in my comics, too. So, thanks for watching. You're the best. Bye, and have a good day. And go watch some good art.